Hi, I'm Jen Ailey, and I'm delighted to be here to share with you a powerful sales workshop. So you will never see sales the same way, and it will change your relationship with sales and your business. So this workshop is called How to Sell More Without Selling Out. 28 sales secrets that will give you confidence and results. And there's way more than that actually too. So this will include mindset, strategies, and scripts for way more sales without being salesy. Okay, so in this workshop, Learn to Love Sales, you'll gain 5 keys to making sales easier than you think is possible. You'll learn those. You'll gain a fresh perspective on what sales is and isn't. You'll free yourself from resistance to sales, at least somewhat. You'll discover sales strategies and techniques that will give you confidence. You'll learn a game-changing sales copy technique, and you will understand the most important thing to focus on in a sales conversation. You'll create your master list, your own personal master list, and your own notes throughout this process of scripts and questions to engage customers. So I'm going to cover both products and services, so you can focus on what is most relevant to your business, and you can skip what's not. So I'm going to cover everything from, a dash about marketing copy, and then I'm going to talk about sales questions and scripts in person, and you can use a lot of this online too. You can there's so much here. So I want you to take what works for you and leave the rest. Okay. So here's some questions just to open up to possibility and expand your mindset. What is possible for your business when you feel more confident with selling? So just notice what comes to mind. What if you could increase your sales by just 20% from here on? What would that do for your business? Or even if you just upsell 20% of your customers? What if you could build a stronger customer base in the process that leads to more growth, especially long-term? So I'm going to talk a lot about long-term and short-term too. So sales is the bridge between marketing and income. Without sales, there's no business. Increasing sales is how your business grows, period. A long game mindset and strategy are more effective than short-term thinking. So I did a TED Talk a few years ago called Harness Creativity as Your Greatest Business Asset. And in that, I addressed the sales, and I talked about sales as service and connection. And this slide, which you just saw in the TED stage image, breaks down how I changed my perception of the main 3 components of business that I see. One is money, seeing money as a tool to create freedom and expression, as opposed to the old mindset that I had of seeing money as evil or hard to deal with or for other people or whatever it was. Marketing is visibility and education. So seeing marketing as visibility and education. And sales as connection and service. So these 3 things are really big in helping you reframe and sort of reprogram your mind or unlearn things you've learned before. And we'll do some more of that about sales here too. So sales can be about connection first. Service. So serving the person in front of you. So seeing it as an opportunity to serve the person in front of you. Listening to what's underneath what your customer is saying. And I'll go more into all of these. So this is like the framework that I'm bringing to the sales conversation. Sales is about connection first. It's about connection. It's hard to sell, and in a way that's win-win. Service, serving the person in front of you, and listening to what's underneath what your customer is saying. Okay, so let's look back for just a second at your own experiences with sales. So just consider for a minute, and we're going to do exercise for the next slide. But right now, just notice what comes to your mind when I mention these statements. So think about your memories as a customer or potential customer. And if any stand out to you about being sold to or somebody trying to sell to you, just notice if anything comes to your mind. And then think about your experience as a salesperson when you've been selling something or trying to sell something to someone. And if you've ever had any experiences that stand out to you where they were more positive or negative. And then notice any feelings left from those. So we're just like checking into a vibe here about your previous experience and your own feelings about that. Okay, so now we're going to do an exercise. So if you have a pen and paper or a digital device you can write on, reflect on your most impactful previous sales experiences. So as a customer, so first let's do one as a customer. You'll do one as a sales person too, but as a customer, think about an experience you've had as a customer that stands out to you as a sales. It could be something positive, it could be something negative. I'll share a couple, one of each. So one, I actually had a really good experience buying the first time, actually the only time I ever bought a car off of a lot, like an actual car lot. I had a very good experience. I had a salesperson who knew what I wanted better than me and helped me not buy the car that I thought I wanted and get the car that I actually wanted, and was very patient. And it was just a really good experience. I felt really connected, and I felt like, they heard me and I was able to get what I needed at the price that worked for me. So that felt really good. And I've also had experiences on a car lot where I was ignored, or like I would bring a male friend with me so that they would actually talk to my friend and not me, even though it was my car. But it was so like some sexism there. And I've also had experiences where, especially with calls, like when people are trying to call me or they call me and they're trying to sell something and they don't even know if I'm available to talk. They just start talking at me without checking in to say, is this a good time? Or are you, even if I'm interested in what they're going to sell or try to sell, is it relevant to me? So we've all had these customer experiences where we may have had positive experience being sold to, and we have negative experiences being sold to, or people trying to sell to us. So, and a lot of times people can make this mean that sales is a certain way, like sales is aggressive, sales is rude, sales is, it's not about connection, it's about disconnection and like somebody trying to get something from me. So, notice that. And if you have any of that stuff, and you can pause this more at any time if you want to write down more. And then as a salesperson, think about an experience you've had trying to sell something to someone or selling something to someone, and notice so just think about what happened, how did you feel, and what did you make that mean about you or about sales or about customers? Sorry about that. So think about what that means. Okay, so as a salesperson, so like thinking about what that experience, what you made it mean about you or the person again. So, these are things that create beliefs in us that we hold on a deeper level that may impact how we feel about sales, how we feel about ourselves, or how we identify as a salesperson or not, how we trust ourselves in sales. So just noticing this awareness of like how you perceive being a customer and being sold to, and being a salesperson and trying to sell to others, and what you make that mean. So just noticing these. And you can do my Flip Your Beliefs workshop if you feel like you have some deeper stuff here that you want to work through. Okay, so here is why sales gets a bad rap often. So people use pushy and aggressive, sorry for the spelling, techniques. They focus on an outcome that they want more than the client in front of them. A rote script that doesn't take humanity into account. So they're using a script and they're not actually present with you or what you are needing or who you are. And sometimes it can feel desperate. It can feel really intense energy coming at you. And they're just not listening to you. And they're not concerned if you're even interested in what they're trying to sell. They're just trying to do their job. They think it's their job anyway. And it's short-term, not long-term mindset. So they're willing sometimes to push you away as a customer forever by being intense and aggressive, rather than, treating you with respect, and allowing what is true to come to fruition, and creating more connection as a brand with you. Okay, so here's the spectrum. We'll look at both sides of this and what people have often experienced. So one side is convincing or trying. So it's about their goal to sell, and it's about closing the sale. And it's often pushy and scripted and rote and attached to an outcome, and it's short-term focused. However, enrolling them in what you're offering is about being present, about the customer, and only if it's a fit. You don't want to sell something to somebody who doesn't want what you have to offer, period. That's not the goal. The goal is to sell something to somebody who wants what you have to offer. So it's about opening a relationship. And this is part of the long-term thinking and focus. You're present and aware. You're present with this person and aware of what is happening with their energy. And I'll teach you some techniques for that. And you're flexible and dynamic in your sales process. So you're not like doing a rote script and like trying to get it right. You're more connected to them and flexible in the dance with the conversation. You're not attached to the sale. And there's a long-term focus on the relationship, not just the present next outcome. Okay, so effective sales is meeting the customer where they are at that moment. It's focused on serving that customer over making the sale. It's about opening a relationship, not closing a sale, and not attached to the outcome, and flexible with no exact linear script. You might have some things in your pocket that you like to say, and I'm going to share some of those with you. But it's not like you're trying to focus on the script so much that you're missing sight of the person and connection with them. You only want to sell if it's a fit for the customer now or later. Success is measured by the relationships you're creating, not only money. And effective sales is long-term focused because it's focused on that relationship as most important. And during the sales process, you're practicing active and reflective listening, which I'll talk more about as well. Okay, sales mindset shifts for confidence and effectiveness. So here are some things that really help. In addition to what I've just shared, here are some things that are more specific to help you feel more confident and effective. So not feeling like you have to do things a certain way in the sales process, really letting yourself honor who you are in the sales process and your strengths, gifts, talents, preferences. If you're an introvert, extrovert, if you're better in person than online, those kinds of things are factors in how you can sell the most effectively for you. So consider that, and don't go against your natural way of being completely, because that won't be effective. Think like your client or customer. So really understanding who your client or customer is and what they need, what they want, and their problems. So, or what they desire, depending on your market. So getting in their heads, and that might be some market research to understand, or even just, the process of sales can be very informative too, understanding who your customer is. So putting yourself in their shoes. Sorry, my numbers messed up there, but be willing to detach from the outcome. So this is a great practice in life too, to just notice like what it is you want to create, and then letting go of the exact attachment to the outcome, the way that you think it quote should be. And then remembering there's no right or wrong answer. So you get to experiment and stretch and grow in the process of becoming a better salesperson. So factors that make it easier to sell: having confidence in your work or product. So, you believing in your work and your product is a huge piece of this. So having confidence in your prices. So believing that your prices are set at the market value and that you are available to sell in a confident way. So that's huge. Having confidence in your marketing location or location to attract your target market. So that these people who are coming to you are looking for what you're selling and they're ready and able to buy. Having confidence in your sales process. So where and how you sell. So, your process of what works for you specifically based on your gifts, your talents, your preferences, your personality, and how you're selling, if it's online or in person. So then also having a prosperity mindset. So being willing to receive, more compensation for the work that you're providing. That's huge. The courage to charge for what you do comes from the charging for what you do. That's a Marie Forleo quote that I appreciate. Here's another pricing piece. If I create something in an hour, it's because I spent years perfecting to do it, how to do it in an hour. The price reflects the years, not the hour. So it's not an hourly rate per se, necessarily. So those are two big mindset pieces for pricing. Okay, so here is sales technique number 1. And this is a photo of me in my old jewelry studio in Weaverville, North Carolina. So energy match. So, this is a huge one. And this is for in person. It can be done a little bit online too. So basically what you want to do is match your client's energy. So if somebody comes in and they're like, hey, how are you? And you say, hey, how are you? You match their energy. And so, then that's a connection point for you both. So if you feel like the person is like more timid and they're walking in and they're not really looking at you, you can just match the energy, still connect, reach out, but do it in a way that matches their energy, not that it's going to pull them out of their space. So if somebody's high energy, meet that as much as you can. And then if somebody's low energy, meet that as much as you can. For example, if somebody walked into my jewelry studio and they are walking by and they're kind of looking at my jewelry, I might say, and they were low energy or not making eye contact, I might say, welcome in. If you have any questions, let me know. But just low key. So matching their energy. And just so for context, this is an interesting technique that police actually use. If they have somebody who's really aggressive or assertive, they can match their energy and then bring them down. So you wouldn't go up to somebody who's really intense energy and be like, hey, sir, calm down. No, you got to meet it and then connect with them and move it. So, but that's not what we're doing here. We're doing sales. So matching their body language. If their body language is open, you can do, and neurolinguistic programming talks about matching somebody's thing. If they're holding their chin, move your chin. That's pretty extreme. Sometimes people notice that and it's obnoxious, but just noticing the matching piece, people feel connected that way. Be present with how they're showing up, just really being aware of the other person and not be attached to and focused on your agenda only. And then are they leaning in or moving away? So it's, because pushy or aggressive sales, if somebody's moving away, they'll lean in toward them and, so it'll be moving toward them. But if they are moving back and you move back, that's a match for the energy. And I've had countless experiences where if somebody's leaning out of even on Zoom, where somebody is leaning back about buying coaching with me, I'll lean back and I'll let go of it completely and even start pushing them away a little bit because it's really acknowledging where they're at, and then they'll lean in. So, if people want what you have, they'll buy it. If they don't, they won't. And so you get to dance with that energy and see what happens. Okay, reflective listening. So this is a life skill as well, but for sales, it's about paying attention to what the customer is saying and being present. with what they're saying and listening really, not just waiting to talk. So, and you can reflect back what you hear. So if somebody comes into your sales space and or a store or whatever, and they're like, yeah, I'm looking for this, but I don't know if you have the right size. And you say, okay, so you're looking for a 4x6 painting that has blues in it. Okay, got it. So that they feel heard. Or you can say, is that right? Is that right that's what you're looking for? And then you can ask more questions. So, and they might, here's some other things, like, you're not interested in this, but would you like to find this? So you would like to find this. So that's another reflection piece there. So you feel hesitant to buy a big painting because you're traveling, but you're open to buying something smaller for this certain part of your house. Okay. So you're not sure if you want this, but you'd like to see what's available. So those are some examples. Another one for sales is, so it sounds like you're interested in coaching, but you're not really sure what it is. So you're mostly curious about what that is. So there's a couple of examples. So the main point here is reflecting, listening, really listening to what they're saying, and reflecting back what you heard them say. And then and then you can check in with them once you reflect back and say, is that right? Or is that correct? Or is that accurate? And just be curious, like genuinely curious if what you're reflecting back to them is accurate. And, most people don't get a lot of reflective listening. So this is really valuable for them in general, to experience this kind of somebody really listening to them. And then asking questions is so powerful. And if you feel anxious about making sales, when you're in a state of curiosity, it helps you be less anxious. So asking questions is a really powerful tool. It requires being present and asking engaging questions. So, and moving people toward the relevancy of what you're trying to sell. I recently talked to an artist in the River Arts District here in Asheville, and she was talking about how she would talk to tourists, and and then they'll just talk about all these other things. And I gave her some questions to help redirect toward the art. Oh, like, what is your favorite artist? Or what kind of art do you have at home? What's your favorite piece of art? And some people won't be actually interested in buying art, and you'll find that out pretty quickly. And some may be, and some may be willing to engage more further. So guiding them into inspiration. So connecting with them enough to get them to a point where they feel inspired and they feel inspired to share more. It's a big one. And going as deep as you can, like just asking questions. Keep on going. And listening more than you're talking. So listening to what they're saying and making that a priority, and you'll be surprised what will come. And of course, keep detaching from outcome. Okay. So sales technique number 3 is sharing ideas. So once you ask questions and you've heard what they want, then you can share some ideas, or ask them, do you want to hear some ideas that I have based on what you're saying? And those kind of questions keep on engaging them, and then moving them forward, and they're practicing saying yes to you in that process as well. So only after you think you understand what they want and why. So what they want and why they want it, or you divide that, at least the last part. You share an insight, an idea, or resource. And this is true for sales or products. You give them options, or you explore options with them. So you say, okay, you might say, if you're in a store, okay, I have 3 things that come to mind. Let me show you those 3 things, and you can tell me what works and what doesn't work from those things. Or if it's a service, you can say something like, okay, well, I have 3 or 2 coaching options that I come to mind for you. And this is one, and this is why I think it might be a fit. And this is the other one. This is why I might think it'd be a fit, but there's this thing I'm not sure about. So you can tell me. So those are 2 examples. Keep asking questions without leading questions. So leading question is, do you want to buy this now or later? That's a leading question. There's nowhere to go. You're leading them into a sort of a dead end. They only have options now or later, but that's not real freedom. They're not actually giving them a choice of freedom. You're saying you want to buy this now or later, unless they've already said they wanted to buy it, and that's different. So you want to make sure your questions are open and moving toward exploration. Oh, sorry, hang on. And then, you're helping connect them to what they want, even if you don't sell it. I think this is an example of this in Miracle on 34th Street with Santa, who sends the kids to their parents to a different store to buy a toy. I've done this so many times in my coaching business and my jewelry business that I had recently. So, connecting people to what they want. And, you can say, okay, I don't make this kind of ring, but so-and-so at this studio may be able to help you. And that is you opening a relationship for that person who's going to trust you more, and you're serving them and you're helping your colleague as well. So that's an example. And then again, giving them a choice for real. And that can also be a question. So at the end of it, what comes to near the end of a conversation, you can say, okay, do you want to buy it? Or are you ready? Is there anything else you need to know before you consider buying it? So asking questions to give people ultimately a choice. And I remember one time I had somebody in my jewelry studio who I really connected with. She was also a life coach, and we had this great conversation. She was visiting Asheville, and she wanted this pair of earrings, but she wasn't buying it. And I said, "What's stopping you from buying it?" And she was like, "I don't know." And she bought it. I think sometimes people are just used to resisting people trying to sell something to them, or just saying no to themselves. So, sometimes questions can really shift things for people. And I was genuinely curious too. So dealing with objections. So it may not be a fit. So if so, let it go. But if they want it, then consider some of these kinds of questions. Here are some specific objections. So if they're saying money is the issue, you can always ask, if money wasn't an issue, would you buy it? Because that can be a good indicator. Like, yeah, I'm not sure I really need it, or I really use it, so no. So then it's not actually money, so that people might think it is because they're used to that story in their head, but it may not actually be money. So that's a good question to ask. So sometimes they think it's the money, but really they just don't see the value of it, or they don't have the mindset to receive it or to give it to themselves. So that is also a factor. So sometimes, for example, with my jewelry business, I would do this thing where if somebody was hemming on about the price, I would talk about the value. This silver is Argentium silver, which is more actual silver than sterling silver, and it doesn't tarnish, so you don't have to polish it. It's like, whoa, that's a whole different level of value that they may not have been aware of. So, you talking about the value, or if it took you 60 hours to paint a painting, then that's something they need to know, or if this kind of product is only made in this one part, and it's like this piece of the material was harvested in this one place by this one, really talking about the value of something, or how long it will last, so shifting the conversation to the value is huge. So if they feel like they want to think about it, they either don't trust you or trust themselves, or they haven't mastered the prioritization of boundaries. It could also be a timing thing, or they just don't value what it is. So, and that's more of a service. If they're buying a service, trusting that they have the time to do the thing that they're saying they're going to do. They need to think about it. So they need to ride their emotional waves to have a clear answer, or they haven't taken ownership of their personal power to let themselves choose. And they may be in a pattern of indecision. So yeah. So depending on your profession, you can ask questions about that without being judgmental. The thing holding them back may be the reason that they're ready for what you offer. So challenging them to break a pattern. So only that's more like if somebody who's coming to me for money coaching or business coaching, and they feel like money is holding them back, but they actually have the money, then it's like, okay, well, you saying yes to this and giving yourself this and prioritizing this can actually help you break the pattern that you have to move and help you move out of it and through it into a different relationship with your business. So those are some examples to those. So, so just noticing objections, what people think. And sometimes people think they have one objection, but it's actually not their real objection. It's something else. Yeah. So, okay. So here are some sales scripts, phrases. And these are more for a store at this point. So this is selling at our store or like a craft booth or something. So you're selling in person here. So you can say, and part of how you say it is about matching the energy too. So remember that. But here are some examples. If you have any questions, let me know. Let me know if I can help you. So those are just like really basic little pitches to let them know that you're available and that you're on call for them. This next question is priceless, especially during the holiday season. Are you looking for something for yourself or for a gift? Because one reason this works is because people will say, oh, I'm looking for myself, or I'm looking for a gift, and then you can engage, and you can engage with both of those. Looking for a gift for yourself, oh my God, of course you are, let me help you, or what are you looking for? Or it's for a gift, who's it for? I'm curious, when they say it's for my aunt, okay, great. Do you know if it's jewelry, earrings or necklace or gold or silver? And they're like, yeah, I think she wears more silver. Okay, great. Let's see how long her earrings are. Let's look at her Facebook profile to see how long her earrings are. I've done all this before. And this is really great to really just like focus on serving them and supporting them to get the right gift for someone or the right thing for themselves. Are you looking for something in particular? So then you can ask that question and they can tell you if they are. Is this your first time in the store? This is a great one because it really is contextual and specific. You can ask, and then once you get into these, you can say, I'm curious, and ask questions. Yeah. And so then the last one is more for a tourist area. Are you visiting or do you live here? Have you ever visited this store before or this area before? And sometimes that will get you off topic, off of the products or the services you're offering, but it could be a good starting point as well. Okay. So here are some more in-person script ideas. Have you ever, I've already said that one. Do you shop from artists often? So if, for example, if it's something and whatever it is that you're selling. So if you're selling art or craft, and then this will be engaging because you'll find out if the person actually buys from artisan markets or not, is there artist community where you're from if they're not from there? So all these kind of questions are both engaging and curiosity led, and also drawing them more into the conversation of what you're selling, and then the last three statements here. So the middle here. So what is your favorite jewelry? What do you like about it? And this can also be talking about something that they're wearing, or is that handmade? These are handmade examples, and you can translate this to your particular business, product, or service. And the last statements here, when you know what they want, you can say, I'd recommend this. Just be really clear. I'd recommend this. This is what I feel like would work best based on what you're saying that I have here, And then if somebody wants something and you're like, I really want you to have this, like I feel like this is made for you because it's just what you want. It looks good on you. If it's true, say it. Don't be shy. And then the last one is, I'm glad you stopped by. Whether they buy or not, you can just really acknowledge the connection you had with them. Okay, so this is a little section about selling to stores, and I know this won't be relevant to many people. So I'm just going to kind of breeze through it real quick, but if you want, you're welcome to stop this and look at it more if you want to. So, selling to stores, selling wholesale to stores is all about finding a really good fit and creating a long-term relationship for sure. There's even a saying that I heard when I was starting to sell wholesale that said something like, the wholesale begins on your second sale. So when they buy the first time, that's great. But a lot of stores will buy once and never again. But if they buy again and they keep buying from you, that is awesome. Talk about a long-term relationship that pays off. It's huge. So getting the right wholesale accounts is a big deal. And you want to be aware of in your industry what that looks like. Like, are you selling to galleries? Are you selling to stores? What are the seasons like for the different stores or different markets that you're selling to? When do they buy? Do you need to be the only person, or do they need to be the only store that you sell to within a certain zip code or something? And if so, excuse me, acknowledge that you're choosing their store because that's because you like it and think it's the best fit. So really just like being proactive but also respecting their process. So you can also just go to the store or ask, look at their website and say how to submit or how to connect, who to connect with, and put energy into that. And then you can read this more thoroughly if you're interested in selling the stores. There's some really good scripts here. Okay, selling a service. So taking the lead in the conversation. So, and sometimes that means listening more. Asking if somebody's scheduled with you about talking about a service, always ask. I ask this more than once usually because I want to hear the different versions of their answer. Why they contact me? Why they schedule with me? What motivated them or inspired them to schedule with me? And then what are you hoping to get out of a potential coaching relationship or a massage or whatever the service is you're offering? How do you think working with me would help you? Or how would you want it to help you? So really understanding what they want to get out of buying this service. And then is there any specific support you're looking for? So that's really big too. So then questions, do you have any questions for me or fears you'd like to share about this relationship? So if people have had a negative experience in the past with a coach or with a massage therapist or something, then what kind of questions do they have or fears do they have that they might want to address beforehand or that they're considering? And then if you feel like you can actually help them, you can say, based on what you shared with me, I know I can help you. Do you want to hear what that could look like? So then you paint them a picture of what that relationship would look like. And then you share the vision that you have and you're holding for them in that relationship through them receiving the service that you're offering and giving to them. Okay, so that is, we covered sales in person, and then, so a lot of the stuff we talked about here can be used a little bit in DMing people or direct messaging people online, but that's a whole nother kind of workshop. And not everybody's into that. So you can try, some of this translates to that, some of it doesn't. But I'm going to talk right now about some marketing copy. So this is the biggest thing because marketing is a big deal to get you to sales. And marketing, a lot of times people talk about the thing that they're selling, but not actually the benefits that they're selling. And the value comes from the benefits they're receiving minus the price, not the actual feature. So for example, the value is from like, I get to have relief in my shoulders from a massage, and it's worth the $100 I spent, not just the 60 minutes that I spent. It's not the 60-minute part. It's like the benefit is more valuable than the actual thing itself. So the thing I'm going to receive is the benefit. So the benefits outweigh the price to get the value. So that's what you want to have, is the benefits outweigh the price to receive the value. So the benefit is the selling point, not the feature. So it's not the 60-minute massage, it's the calm and relaxation you'll feel by the end of the massage and how that affects your nervous system and affects your life and your capacity to live your life and love your life and people, for example. So great. So if you have a feature, so 60-minute massage, for example, and you want to find the benefits, ask the question, so what? So you get a 60-minute on a massage table. So what? So what is you get to feel relaxed, you get to have touch and oxytocin, you get to feel like you're calmer, your mind is more focused, or maybe your mind turns off for a while, which can also be good. So you get to the benefit from breaking down the benefits like that the people receive from the feature itself, from the thing. So that's a huge distinction that sometimes people miss when they're talking about massage or anything, sorry, any example. So that's a big one. So your number one competitor is actually the status quo. So they're happy without you. So how are they okay without you? How are they better off with your product or service rather than without it? So how are they better off with it? So what are the benefits they're going to experience from that? So that's a big one, especially if your product is not a necessity, like you're not an electrician giving people electricity for their houses, you're selling decor. It's like, okay, they can do without it. They don't actually need it. So the status quo is your competitor. It's like, okay, I'm fine the way I am. But how do you get to the point where you're saying, okay, this is a possibility, and getting them to tune into that, the benefits? So there are a billion ways to sell. And I think sometimes people only focus on certain things and they limit themselves because they think they should do certain ways of selling. So the most common way these days in some ways is internet. So you can do ads there, social media, website, your sales platforms. You can have an email list and outreach there and market that way to eventually sell to them. In person, there's so many ways to sell in person. An educational offering. So you're doing some marketing through offering something educational and then offering your service or product then. Cause networking. So aligning with a cause or a nonprofit and letting yourself connect with that as a marketing strategy, and also exposes your values and shares your values, and you'll find clients who share your values. A relationship focus. So connecting with this person and focusing on the connection and the relationship. And you can do the relationship focus in all these things. Recently, somebody on my email list, I sent out an email to a few random people on my email list who are most active and just connecting with them and asking questions. And the person was like, nobody's ever done this in any other email I've ever been on. So that kind of relationship focus can be a big deal and can be subtle, but really impactful, or simple and impactful. Focusing on collaborations, with other people, and focusing on creating a win-win-win through your marketing can also lead to sales. And word of mouth and referrals is huge, and asking for that too. That can all lead to more sales. So there's a phrase that says anything tracked moves in the direction of your intention. And so there are a lot of different ways you can move your sales forward by tracking something. So you can figure out where you're going to put most of your energy in doing your sales. Is it in your email list growth? Is it in your website traffic and conversion? Is it in your social media views and engagements? Is it in your client customer leads and contacts? So you get to choose where you want to focus your intention. And you can measure something to create a game for yourself or to create some momentum for yourself in your business. So, and you can only track what you can control. So you could control just money and focus on just money, but you can also focus on, something that you can control. You can say, okay, I'm going to reach out to 50 people this month, and I'm going to track this, and I'm going to follow up with each of them. And then I'm going to see what happens and try to see if I can get some sales calls. Or maybe your goal is 5 sales calls, and then you reach out to 100 people to get 5 sales calls. But I'm going to show you just in a second an example of how to track it. I did an example of this a few years ago where I was okay, I need more visibility. And I tracked, okay, so like my commitment was I'm going to be seen by 1,000 people, or I forgot what the number was, in the next 30 days or 90 days or something. So I set a goal because I could measure that. I can measure how many views my YouTube channel got, or my YouTube videos got. I could measure how many people saw the live video I did on Facebook, or live video I did on Instagram, or the call I did with my colleague who has a bigger list than me, and she has I get to talk to 300 people from her list. So I couldn't control the outcome of how many sales I had from that experience, but I could control the amount of exposure that I had leading to possible sales conversations with people, or offering sales for products on my website or something. So, you tracking something that you can control is a big deal. So here's an example. Here's just a leads contact sheet. It could just be as simple as, okay, I'm going to contact, 20 people a week or 20 people a month, depending on where your business is. And you just like start tracking it, and you create some system for yourself to move forward to get more exposure for your business. So that is something that you could create for yourself to really get serious about moving your sales process forward. Okay, so now write down one thing that an impactful action you can take that you would not have done if you hadn't taken this workshop. So something that you're inspired by, you're like, okay, I'm going to create this tracking sheet, and I'm going to book 20 calls in the next 3 months, or I'm going to do an event, and I'm going to get, 50 new people into my store. So what is one impactful action you can take that you would not have done if you hadn't done this workshop? So something that has sparked something in you that you want to do now as a result of this time watching this video. And then when you have that thing, write it down and really be clear with what it is. Is it, is it create a game? Is it, and when you're setting goals, I recommend setting goal from the place of like the lowest energy that you have. So making sure that you are not going so high that you're going to sabotage yourself, but you're setting a goal that you can actually achieve, 80% chance of achieving it. And so it's stretchy for you, but it's not so stretchy that you won't actually follow through with it. And then put it on your calendar, like figure out a time frame of when you can do this thing, commit to it fully, and write it down. And if you need a day to think about it, so it could just be something vague right now where you're like, okay, I'm gonna do a game with my business, and I want to clarify that in the next week, and then start it by the 1st of next month. So let yourself meet yourself where you are, and let yourself commit to the next thing in your business, moving toward creating more sales. And then notice, like, what is the biggest thing you've learned here? Like, what is the biggest impact for you on how you think about things, or the biggest thing that you feel like, okay, this is going to impact me for a long time? Like, what insight or realization or shift did you have? I just want you to really digest that and acknowledge that right now, so that you can integrate it into your life and business more solidly. And give yourself a pat on the back and acknowledge that your time for watching this entire workshop and stretching into new possibilities and new options, and growing. This is one of my favorite quotes, or affirmations really. I let go of everything that is in between me and the prosperity I'm ready to receive. Yes. So, sales again is all about you looking at how you connect with your customer, how you show up as a business owner, as a salesperson, and allowing yourself to be this person who is present with people and who can focus on serving them and honoring your work and the value of your work at the same time. So I hope this workshop has been helpful to you and that you've gotten a lot out of it. I'm Jen Ailey, and you can find more about me on my website and some free gifts there, Jen Ailey, JENALY coaching.com. And I hope you do well from here on. Take care.